The United States will be the crypto capital of the planet and the Bitcoin superpower of the world, and we'll get it done.
That pledge from the now president-elect came earlier this year. And in the new Congress, a Senate Republican, I want you to please pay attention to this. I know you want to tune out, but please don't. They plan to propose a bill that would sell off some of the Federal Reserve's gold to buy Bitcoin. Watch this.
Have we got a president for President Donald Trump? Here it is. This is the Bitcoin Reserve Bill. Over 5 years, the United States will assemble 1 million Bitcoin, 5% of the world's supply. And it will be held for a minimum of 20 years and can be used for one purpose: reduce our debt.
Well, Cynthia Lummis, you can take that bill and sit down with me any night of the week, and I would love to go through every word, every paragraph, every page. But I'd first like to know how much the crypto industry has given you, because for fact's sake, you cannot pay debt down with Bitcoin. If Bitcoin crosses the $100,000 mark, like it did last week, that means it would cost the government at least $100 billion. And former SEC official John Reed was on 60 Minutes last night to sound the alarm about just how dangerous this industry is.
Crypto is a scourge. It's not something that you want in your society. It has no utility. It's just pure speculation. Remember, there's no balance sheet to crypto. There's no financial statements. Every single crime you can conceive of is easier to do now because of crypto, especially ransomware, human sex trafficking, sanctions evasion, money laundering. North Korea is financing their nuclear weapons program using crypto.
Every crime you can think of is exponentially easier because of crypto. Here to discuss, Zeke Fox, investigative reporter for Bloomberg Businessweek and Bloomberg News. He is the author of Number Go Up, Inside Crypto's Wild Rise and Staggering Fall. Dan Nathan's still with us. I don't even want to say this would be the biggest bailout to crypto ever, because they don't need a bailout. They're not in trouble. This would be the biggest bonus boon right there before our eyes, transferring billions of dollars to an industry we know almost nothing about, that's packed with money laundering and bad deeds.
I mean, it's wild. People are mad right now about the health insurance industry's profits. That's $100 billion. That's a couple of years of the entire industry's profits that would be spent buying Bitcoins from people who already have them. And it is a kind of a bailout. I mean, Bitcoin's been around for 15 years. It hasn't delivered on any of its promises. It's as old as Uber, it's old as WhatsApp, but nobody's really using it for anything. Now, they've given Trump a lot of money. They've got him talking about coming in and having the government spend huge money to pump the price up even further. It's really wild.
Well, it has delivered on something. It's a trading vessel for people who have made a ton of money and lost, but who've made.
Well, it's delivered on one important thing. It is a store of value, not too different than gold, right? So it's up 30,000% in the last 10 years. There's very few other assets on the planet have done that. Maybe NVIDIA, they're the ones that make the high-end GPUs that power generative AI. So when I think about what's going on here, it's a $2 trillion market cap. It's not going away. And if you think about why it's gone up of late, is because of the promise of deregulation, the leaning in. And I'll just say this, if you think MAGA movement is a strong political movement, just wait until you see these Bitcoiners. This is like one of the strongest financial religious movements that I've ever seen as long as I've been in the business for nearly 30 years. So it's here to stay, and maybe some new regulation will kind of help. And the last thing I'll just say, Zeke, when you think about this, I know you did a lot of work on this. Some of the smartest people that I know in finance and in tech believe in this. And they believe in the technology that's underlying it.
Okay,
it
but
doesn't
two
mean
things
that the
can
government.
be true. Okay,
100%.
that's my point. Two things can be true.
Yeah.
There could be real value in it. There could be a real business there. But that doesn't mean that there needs to be a government program transferring $100 billion to it.
And when we talk about smart people being into Bitcoin, is it because they think Bitcoin is like the technology that's going to power the future? Or is it because they're smart enough to realize there are a lot of people who are going to get on the train, feel the FOMO, and buy in? I mean, if you were able to predict that, more power to you. But I don't think the government should be in that business.
Well, I mean, there's no different than people investing in stocks or other illiquid assets. You know, there really isn't. I mean, if people believe.
Hold on a minute. Beneath that stock are companies that sell products that you can. Okay, ready? Let's give you the Hawk Tuah girl example, okay? Yeah. A drunk girl outside a bar who becomes famous for a lewd comment, more power to her, okay? She then launches a coin, is dishonest publicly about action around that coin. The value sinks, and now all these Bitcoin investors want this. If that isn't like peak subprime, it makes me think I'm watching. It makes me think
it's unregulated. So that's the point. Why has it just gone from 50,000 to 100,000? All these folks believe that there's going to be a regulatory framework put in place that will really be the sort of thing that will let that sort of innovation come out. I mean, I don't own it. I'm not making like the strongest case for it right now, but I understand why people own it and where they think it's going.
So I would buy it, not it. I mean, this argument, assuming, do you believe smart regulation is coming? Because one could argue that Gary Gensler and Elizabeth Warren weren't even open to it. One could argue that they said, we're not open for business. We think this is criminal. So there's a space between being hyper pro Bitcoin and the Republican Bitcoin bill and where Elizabeth Warren is. Is there a lane for smart regulation that you think could be coming?
It seems, I mean, Trump's pick for the SEC, Paul Atkins, he signaled that he's definitely going to change course from Gary Gensler. And what he said is that actually, I thought this was pretty crazy. The failure of FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried's giant fraud, he said that it wouldn't have happened had regulations in the U.S. been looser. That by having tough regulations here, enforcing our existing securities laws, they drove crypto operators offshore where like anything went. And I think that if anything, the SEC let the last bubble get out of hand, saw tons of fraud happening in plain sight and didn't do anything until prices started going back down.
I'll just say this. There's a finite supply.
I'll just say
a finite supply of this. You know who's buying it? Putin's buying it. Kim Jong-un's buying it. So when you think about that,
Dan Nathan's buying
why wouldn't we be in the same game? Because if it's going to continue to go higher, the whole existence of it initially was to kind of offset the debasement of the U.S. dollar. Right?
Okay, and so all these boys in their basements, right, taking their graduation money and saying, I'm not going to college, I'm going all crypto all the time. On Friday, I spoke to a bunch of high school personal finance teachers who cannot even get their students to focus on learning what mortgages are because they're like, I'm all in on crypto. That's my future.
Yeah, but what if it is the next thing? So what, you have an asymmetric sort of opportunity here. It can only go to zero, and it could go up, to the moon, right?
So you're saying there's a chance.
What I'm saying is, like, just think about that, right? And if you have enough people behind it, if you have a government behind it, why would you want to take the other side of that?
Okay, fine. Right? Let's say we buy everything Dan is saying. But in order to do that and have a true level of success for the masses, you need smart regulation and some level of guardrails. And right now it feels like we just going to let it rip.
Sure. I mean, we can talk about there's a finite supply, but at this point, the price is really high, right? I think Bitcoin's a little bit like a pyramid. The tech guys got in early. They're at the top. The masses are coming in with the ETF. They're kind of at the bottom. This pyramid is getting really, really big. And no amount of smart regulation is going to make a new level come in. That's why the Bitcoiners donated big money to Donald Trump, got him to start talking about this Bitcoin strategic reserve. That's the kind of thing that could push the price up.
He's not selling any books in Silicon Valley right now. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Even if it's a pyramid scheme, it pays to be on top of the pyramid.
It's true.
There you go.